Have you ever approved AI code that you hadn't fully read? Read would be, understand, ship it. I kind of have, but
Welcome to Fire Talks by Tech Wing Bites. I'm Clint. I've built software, led teams, and now a founder, helping builders who are ready to make the leap, but can't quite see the path yet. Every episode is one conversation closer to clarity on ownership, execution, and momentum.
AI as the final reviewer. So today we'll see who comes in, but right now we have Nathan.
All right, yeah. So my name is Nathan Fager. I'm the I do coaching, fractional CTO work. I work out of my own company, Nateland Studios. You can see me at nate-land.com. I also post a bunch on LinkedIn, so that's there too. And I have a few more hours that I'm available to book, so I just be able to plug myself a little bit here too.
There it is. You did way better than me on mine. I'm gonna just let mine fumble and go. Like that's how it is.
I hear you.
All right. I know I did send out some reading material or whatnot, but I think we all deal with this, right? AI is getting better at building, shipping, doing all of the stuff that developers and engineers used to do. As a senior engineer, I remembered one of my jobs was to do code reviews, be the final approver, and now I've seen a lot of people is using AI to kind of help with testing, which is great, but also kind of depending on it, right? So when you're working with Claude or even Codex, there's the do you want to allow this, right? And you have to say yes or yes for this session.
Mm-hmm.
But like you are that approver. Some people say no, just go. But those same people that says just go is the same people that is allowing AI to be the final approver, and that's a habit that I'm seeing from what I'm reading. More and more, not just by solo builders, but developers on teams.
Yeah.
So that's the topic. Like, do you really trust AI to be the final approver?
I mean, I think it, like all good things, it sort of depends on the severity and the criticality of the software that you're building. So I have a side business. I have some side work that I do and my own personal thing that I'm working on, and for that, and especially to start with, and it doesn't matter, whatever. Like no one's using my product yet. I just gotta get something to demo. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and that's the real thing with a lot of these vibe coded apps. Like nobody will get you to 80% better than a vibe coded application, right? Like it's just so fast. It's so amazing. When you're AWS, right? If you think about the articles in this March 5th, outage that they'd had, AWS can't go down. Like we all depend on it. Like fiber optic cable gets cut in DC, and we were down for a week. I remember at one point, many months ago.
Right.
So, and there's just like the other thing I think about too is there was like I think there was a study with people doing looking for like polyps in the colon, and like they had a doctor look, then an AI look, and the AI was pretty good and the doctor was pretty good, and AI plus the doctor was amazing. But when you took the AI tool away from the doctor was much worse. And noticing these, they had gotten so dependent. AI was so good that you got really dependent on it. Like, yeah. And I find myself doing this as well, where I see it going great for a while, and I get complacent.
So you think that kind of prevents you from doing your cognitive analytical thinking with a particular problem? I mean, but if it's something that you're accustomed doing over and over and over, do you still need to think deep on it in this scenario? It's the same thing, but it's a different scenario. In other words,
tell me more about that.
A better example, you're building an app, but you build apps.
Yeah.
Right? And you go through the same 5 stages, right?
Yeah.
And so before AI, you would think through those stages, and then you would eventually, build the habit where some of those things just kind of feel natural. Right. Well, now we insert AI. Some of those steps are still feeling natural, but with a handicap, right? And is that handicap you're thinking less? That's the question.
Yeah, I think yeah, I mean, I still tend to look at the areas that I understand the most, right? Like I care about, I sort of think about, I used to give this interview question where I sort of asked someone, stack rank for me these 3 errors. Okay. The site's down, the site is up, but we are showing wrong data to a user. Their data store has the right data, or the site is up, but we're writing wrong data to the durable data store. Like, which of those 3 how do you stack rank these 3 errors? I generally prefer the site to be down. Then, like the worst one is writing wrong data to the durable data store. To me, that's like much worse than the site being down generally. Right. And so I think, like, when I think about, like, what do I still look at closely? What's the architecture of the database? How does the database lay itself? How do we lay that out? How does data moving through the system?
Right.
And then but man, as soon as CSS and the UI shows up, I'm like, I don't know. It seems kind of like, I look at the store, like, it kind of looks like the JSON looks good, and that's about as hand wavy as I can get. But that's like, that's my bias to coming from data engineering.
Right. Welcome, David. You want to give a little plug, and then I'll give you an update on what's going on with the topic. You're mute again. Yeah, we can't hear you. I thought when you joined, I heard you. But why you doing that? I gave the question. Of course, is AI being the final reviewer, and the scenario that I just gave Nathan is that AI could potentially make you feel dumber because you're so highly dependent upon it. I believe the example, Nathan, was with doctors, right? They were using it so much that when you take away the AI, they wasn't as sharp, right? So how do you how do you use the same pattern of building and not relying so deeply on AI that it's preventing you from thinking? You know what I mean? So that's kind of like the context. We kind of touched on a couple areas there. No, I can see you. I can see your mouth moving, but I can't hear you. Nathan, you can still hear me, yes?
I hear you good. Yeah.
Okay, just checking. We're having some technical difficulties. Do I need to turn mic up the old school music, Nathan?
He's so intimidated by
we'll just have to go to the the old microphone here in the PC. You able to hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I guess introduce myself first quickly. Name's David C. Home, longtime technology executive. I spent the last 20 years leading software development and IT departments. So that's it for me. But I mean, I don't know. It sounds like you guys were kind of in the thick of it already, this conversation. So I don't know. I can give you my 2 cents, or you can fill me in whatever you want.
Yeah. So really, the question was, does it make you feel dumber by allowing AI to do the low hanging fruit? Right.
Dumber. No, but I treat large language models like another employee. I don't just let it go and do, right? Trust but verify.
Right.
So
you would always see yourself as the last verifier. You won't let LLM ever be the last verifier.
I don't think it's smart to ever let anything or anyone be. I mean, if you're in that role, then you should always verify everything, right? Like, the mistakes are going to be made, whether it's a machine or a person.
Right. Yeah, that's facts. I think we all are starting to build that habit, though, that I'm sorry, you don't like to say, like we said, the AI, the LLM. The LLM is getting better. Although I just saw some recent post about Opus 4.7 not being as smart, even though it has better benchmarks than Opus 6, for example, for Claude.
That's,
But like if you're using it and it seems like it's getting stuff done a high percentage of the time, then you would think that, okay, let me just trust it this time. Let me just give it full autonomy this time.
well, we could have a whole different conversation about Opus 4.7 versus 6 and Sonnet and all the other fun stuff and what they're tuned for, what they're good at, and how to use them, and so on and so forth. But I mean, I think that's a good example. Like you can give a task to a human or a machine, and it's going to, in theory, as long as it's worth its weight, going to get done, right? You also have another factor in here, which is what is your risk tolerance, right? Like, and what are you going to spend your time verifying? Like, what are the important things to verify? I think that might have been a little bit of what you were hitting on a moment ago, Nathan.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So the question of, this is for both of you guys, have you ever approved AI code that you hadn't fully read would be, understand, and then ship it? I kind of have, but I mean,
you kind of have. So the answer is yes, but I need to add a bunch of caveats around it.
Okay.
Because I wrote the spec and I put it right, and I fully understood the spec, and then I ran it through exhaustive, both automated and manual UAT, and I knew that it was functioning the way that I needed it to, and it also was, not something that had security concerns to it, right? Or massive architecture concerns, if it wasn't done the way that I needed it done, that it was going to come back and bite me later. So again, weighing those risks, right? It passed to a level and was not a consequence where I needed to spend more time on it.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Nate?
That'd be my approach too. I mean, honestly, even before that, I remember when ChatGPT first came out, I found out that I owned like a 15-year-old Rails system that needed some issues, some fixes, and I used this thing called Active Record, and the website was down for it, and I was like, I got nothing. I was just pasting stuff and praying, it was like, and all I could do was kind of something similar, it was just like, I could vet the system to the best of my ability. The QA person could vet the system to the best of my ability. No one knew, and there was no Rails code developer anywhere that knew it. Like everybody left, 10 years ago who worked on the system. So, I mean, I think, that was as good as anything. At least I had something, I was at least able to make some forward progress.
Yeah.
So I would say, but, I think when I was sort of coaching a developer today, and he's about to work on a prototype to sort of change some authentication, I was like, listen, like we worked on a bit of a prompt, thanks David for like, put that in Claude AI, take that down into brainstorming, take the brainstorming result back into Claude AI again, right? Work through that plan, really build that plan. To me, every line of that plan has to be super, super scrutinized. It's really helpful with including the technical details. To me, that's the place you can really go faster and get just so much more leverage than staring at every line of code, which is honestly exactly how I work with engineers. When I hand an engineer a project, I can't look at every line of code. I just have to trust them, and this is at least I know, and it's going to be exhaustively worked on in this scenario.
Well, again, I built that way because that's the way I'm used to working, right? Like, it's force multiplication. I just treat it like an employee. So,
yeah, in the previous scenario, in your previous work scenario where you're working with humans, you didn't really do everything, right? Like, you have to trust the engineers to do their work. Maybe you might have done a code review here, there, But product team did what product team does, QA team, design team, they did what they do. But in this scenario, with you kind of getting your I'm gonna call it an agent right now, but the LLM to kind of autonomously do work. You built the spec. You build the test cases. You build everything, right? So it's almost like, yes, there's caveats where we will allow AI to be the final approver, but one feels to me is, if I've done everything, I've done the TDD cases, I've spec'd it out, you know, I kind of did the design, then yeah, I'm just gonna say go, because I'm good.
Do you want to take that, Nathan, or do you want me to?
No, you should start.
Okay. All right. So I think firstly, in my last roles that I've had, I wasn't writing spec, I wasn't doing code reviews, I wasn't doing any of that stuff. I was reviewing the people that did those things. I was one of the people that was helping come up with what was the top level business value that we were aiming for, and then we were, you know, pushing that off down into the rest of the teams, and saying, hey, go figure out how to achieve this value, right? And so, and then we would it would go all the way down, it would come all the way back up, and we would start assessing whether or not those values were met, if there were any misses, if we wanted to continue hammering at that business value, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I did rise up through the ranks doing each of those things.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't where I was at. So it's like a good piece of software, right? There's different levels of interfaces that you're dealing with, and you have a certain responsibility layer that you're operating at. So that you try to let the other things do their things autonomously. You don't need to understand exactly how, you just need to be able to measure the results.
Right. Nathan, do you have anything to add to that?
I mean, my last two jobs, I probably, you know, I didn't do a lot of the technical work at all. I was mostly hiring, throughput, executive reporting. I'd probably I led the architecture team, but I sort of facilitated it. And I'd say if there was like something, we were laying down some new data architecture, I probably was involved in that, or some new distributed system situation, I was probably involved in that, because that happens to be an area that I know. But for the most part, my goal was to speak as little as possible, because I was not the most, I did not have the intellectual power. I had role power and the intellectual power to make the decisions. So I was really trying to facilitate the right people to make those decisions.
Right. So go ahead.
I would go further and say that it wasn't necessarily, well, it was trying to speak as little as possible, but when speaking, it was asking questions. It wasn't.
Yeah.
Right. Ask the right questions. If it falls in the ballpark, then it kind of builds your trust, right? And I would assume then, if you're building alone in this scenario, that's what you're doing with the LLM, right? You're asking, hey, did you do what I asked you to do? Yeah. For me, I've created a skill, and it has like a bunch of stuff in there, like, you know, should you do TDD test cases before, do the red and the green, you know, have a developer mindset. I can put a bunch of stuff in there, and after every round of me kind of building, I would say, you know, run this skill. But what I've noticed, there's a couple times LLM just it ignored it. Even though it ran the skill, it did not check everything. You know what I mean? So I don't think I would feel comfortable, as in the case of you know, working with engineers. If they say they did it, I'm gonna trust that they did it.
Well, yeah. Did you read my paper about getting
the harness? It was long, man. I started, but I didn't finish.
Yeah. So yeah,
I finished though, because that I have a thing about that.
Yeah. I mean, what you're describing there is a particular interesting problem. And it's a problem with people too. It's just the way that you encounter it, the way that you observe it is different, I think. So if you don't have if you have not set the direction of that prompt correctly, right, at the very, very outset, then it's going to end up in this weird, vector space inside of the neural network that isn't quite what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're going long enough, it'll start compacting out some of the context as well. But the most important piece is getting it is directly in the middle of the vector space that you want is incredibly important. And if you find yourself where it's doing things that are not correct, literally the only thing you can do is just stop that thread. Just shut it down, fire that employee, go get a new one.
Interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
And so, with humans and their livelihoods and other things like, the cost of shutting that one down and going and getting a new one and trying to get it on the right path from the beginning is the right choice. So,
and you seem like you're gonna ask something. Could you introduce yourself first? So I'm trying to do better at that.
Hello, my name is Egan Jones. No, yeah, Egan Jones. Super fluid. But yes, I've run the same problem. I have things in my Claude that are said 4 and 5 times, and like another 5, 10, 12 times in the other documentation that I load in the context, and it still disobeys. And then it goes, I'm sorry, I did this elaborate disobeying thing to get around what you said 17 times. And then recently, what is it? I guess I discovered 2 months ago that you could get a write-up of all of your sessions. I can't remember how you do that now.
Write-up of what?
Is it / command?
Yeah, it's a built-in / command. And it writes up a whole HTML thing, and it says, and it gives you like, you've done 682 sessions, and these are the good things that have happened and the bad things that have happened. Your good things and my bad things, and my bad things and my bad things and my bad things.
It's / insights.
Yes, thank you.
And it eats tokens for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh, wow.
And it's a lot of it's boilerplate, and a lot of it's wrong. About 40% of it boilerplatey slop wrong. A lot of times anti to what the actual trend is, or what it said in the first half of the freaking paragraph. But
yeah. Man, I wanna touch back a little bit on what David was saying, because I have a strong reluctance to not close that window. I've been working on this for a while. Like, I don't want to
you have some cost fallacy.
yes.
Yeah, the insights thing said you're very good at cutting it off early. If shit isn't going the right way, you cut it off early and don't look back, or change course direction entirely, because you get fed up with me and my antics. That's what it said.
Yeah, mine didn't say that, but I have power sessions.
That was your LLM. What do they call those? The little trivia things that you take on social media sites.
Oh God, my daughter takes every day. Yes.
Yeah, those things, whatever they are. But that's your Egan's personality type for LLM interaction. That's fascinating. So it turns out, and I went into this pretty in depth, that the persona that you hand it and the concept that you set it out with, and anchoring itself inside of vector space is solving that issue, right? And the harness itself plays a big role in that. And so you can actually write your own harnesses and use the Claude API, because the Claude API goes directly to the model. It doesn't have that harness layer in it. And so you're actually defining this stuff on your own, and you can get a lot better results. It takes a lot of tuning.
Oh, the API, yeah, okay. Yeah.
But there seems to be maybe a mathematical way to figure out whether or not you're tuning it appropriately that I'm exploring right now.
Yeah. Okay. It's powerful to know how you're using it, right? But at the end of the day, when you see insights like what Egan was saying, and it doesn't feel right, or my reluctance to go on these long sessions, even though it's making mistakes, then like I still would never want it to be the final approver. But how about in test cases, right? Like, of course, AI could scan the system way faster than you can, find issues and bugs faster than you can. Why not let it just, be autonomous in finding those? Questionable about fixing stuff, but at least finding them. Say, okay, you good. You're free.
I guess I would say, why do you hire not in first world, but high paid software engineers? It is because software engineers have to use judgment, because much of the system cannot be specified until you actually write the code. Like when you get a PRD, the reason a PRD cannot be run in the Turing-Complete language is because there's a ton elided in that document. So it is the act of turning that into an imperative system, right, with code that causes you to have to find all the assumptions that were made and decide on them. And some developers start to make guesses, and some developers bring you back a list.
Right.
So the best you could do at the beginning is do your best guess and assume it, knowing where all those things are, and let it make those tests. But sometimes until you see the code written out, you can't have figured out every code path that the system would have been specified at the very beginning.
And that's why we have design, so that you draw out what all you need, where it goes, how it all interacts, how it all flows together,
Yeah.
When shit breaks, all that.
By the way, Nathan, Egan didn't really say he's a UX guy. So you're gonna get a whole lot of UX design stuff. Sorry, go ahead, David.
Yeah. So another problem with this is the way that Claude Code and the OpenAI one work. They're not actually reading the files, right? They are making guesses, and they're using grep and sed and awk a lot, right? And it's going and pattern matching it and saying, hey, like I think this is the problem. I'm gonna go see if it's there, right? And if it comes back positive, it's like, hey, I found it. Right, and then you can say, okay, go find this pattern across the entire code base. It's just going to use, grep to find that pattern every single place.
It'll just search in the beginning and end of the file.
Right. It's not going to go and investigate the whole file or sets of files or the whole code path, et cetera. Right? It's not going to go read those files and see if it can determine it. One way around that.
Wait, question on that piece. Why is that? Why is it not reading the whole thing? Because it gives us the illusion that it is.
Well, so it used to, but they changed that methodology sometime around the middle of January.
Recently?
No, they haven't stated why. It's just observations about how it's working. Any case, but we've also seen like a pretty significant code quality issue for a lot of people started happening towards the end of January, right? They started having a lot of code quality issues around the time that this happened. I think the speculation is because of token consumption, right? And how quickly it can actually get stuff done with this methodology versus because everything in large language models is around pattern matching, right? And so they're just extending that further into what you're trying to accomplish effectively. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. So one of the ways you can get around that, well, there's a couple of ways. There's a couple of things you can do. Like if you have a persistent problem that you're not finding, right? You can go and say, hey, we're going old school draconian. We're gonna go and we're gonna put in console logs every single action in this whole chain, right? And we're gonna go run this, and then you're gonna analyze the logs, the console output. That's one way. Another way is, this kind of goes back into the testing question. If you have a problem that you're trying to solve, setting the context of who it is, like literally saying, hey, you're an SDET with X, Y, and Z background. Go and test this piece of software. You will find a different set of problems and a different solution set than you are if you just say, hey, go debug this. Right, because it's automatically going to use the persona that is built up for you if you don't tell it, hey, use this other persona, and it actually pulls different context because it puts it in a different freaking vector space when you set that persona.
So I heard someone said they were doing this. They would use one LLM or LLM platform, so Claude, say for example, to do the developing, the vibe coding, and then when they're ready to test, they'll send it over to Codex, OpenAI. Like, is that the same thing? Whereas like it's fresh context, it's fresh look at the code. It might even talk crap on the other platform because it can see their code commits, right?
Yeah, I understand what people are.
Hey, Nathan, you're on mute. I see you were trying to talk, by the way. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
You can do it that way. You can also, in your same window, just say load up 2 subagents. The first one act as a security researcher. The second one after a software engineer test. Third one act as a architect to review this code from those 3 perspectives. Then gather those findings up and summarize them, and accumulate them for me. So you can do that in another window, but you can also do it in your same context window.
Can you do that with Claude and OpenAI? I'm just curious. Because I'm assuming you're talking from the perspective of Claude.
You can say those words to either one. I don't know. I haven't done subagents with Codex in a while. I presume it does it fine.
They just revved Codex to their whole agent.
Yeah.
Ecosystem, what do they call it? But yeah, and I do that. I throw all the code that I write at all 3 LLMs, and say, tear this apart, and then not necessarily fix it, but just tear it apart. And then come back and try to fix it. I have found within Claude that the main agent, the orchestra, whatever that it is that you're talking with, the main persona sucks sometimes. And if you get them to hand it off to an agent, especially wired agent that has that context, that grounding that Nathan and David are talking about, it does a far better job at doing whatever it's supposed to do. I have had a hell of a time getting it to delegate to other agents without expressly saying, do these 3 subagents for this task and these 3 other subagents for this other task. If I go to that length, a lot of times it'll do it and get far better results. If not, it tries to solve everything itself and goes in these bash, just add an infinitum, and it sucks. So yes, I agree with both David and Nathan. Both.
Well, Egan, and this is, I just don't know. So if I say a sub agent, it's just pretty much just creating a fresh copy of itself. Can you tell it to do a sub agent of one of your local models, for example?
Not one of my local models. If I want to use a local model, I have to spin up a set of either CrewAI agents or LangGraph LangChain agents.
I got you.
Which I will do both. I will do both of those to do that. I have whole presets for those guys.
Right.
And they also can take advantage of Gemini and ChatGPT. And Claude, if I want to do APIs, pay for the API, whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I think we all agree then that AI should not be the final approvers, and in any particular scenario, you can probably have some caveats to kind of fill in the nuance. I'll let you summarize your thoughts, Nathan, because I know you have to leave some.
Yeah, I would say there are times. I think you just have to use. I mean, it comes down to like. I guess what I would say is you can let AI be the final reviewer. There are times when that's appropriate. It is a huge bottleneck, and if your team does something that takes down the site, it's your job and your responsibility.
Yeah,
so, like it's still like you can fire the LLM and like I don't know, like I don't like it's still like it's like I have the mortgage payment to pay.
Yeah.
So I have to do and run the team in such a way that my mortgage payment continues to get paid. So like, to me, that's the deciding factor. And I think directors of engineering are profoundly difficult position right now with CEOs who are asking them to produce code 10x faster at and maintain quality. Their team, they have a set of team members who are YOLOing like crazy, phoning it in. They have a set of team members who are super upset that this code that they've crafted and passionately produced, they probably care too much about, but also that they're right, that the quality really matters. They should, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Like code is becoming cattle, like we took servers to become cattle, right? But some of the code is special. It is really like, it is the code is still a special flower, and it needs to, and it's an orchid, and like you need to look at those, and you may have many of them, and so we still have this judgment, and it has never been a harder time. You know, like what was me like to be complaining about middle management, but like it is a really hard time to be middle manager right now. Not even with the whole existential state of everyone thinking managers are useless, right? In the world today, right? Like even more than ever before.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, something that has been really pleasant for me as I leave it something pleasant is just getting to go into a couple of new companies that I'm working with right now and getting just like one-on-one coaching, face-to-face in front of a whiteboard, especially I hate RTO, except for the fact that I'm in an office with some people drawing on a whiteboard, coaching, just watching their eyes light up with just someone who has kind of been there once before or can give them another alternative.
Exactly.
And it is really, really pleasant to just, deal with some people and help them, improve a little, give them, not even fix them, but just like be there with them in their situation.
Agreed.
Really pleasant. So
I agree with you 100%. It is a very hard job for middle management, directors, and managers right now, especially when they have to pick the right tools. There's a constant amount of breaches happening, right? There's Vercel just recently happened. Lovable if people is using that for their business, right? Like there's issues there. So it's almost like, what do you trust? So all of this of using AI LLM to replace these middle managers, to replace these senior engineers. I'll even argue junior engineers even. Like, no, we need those thinkers. We need them to go and figure it out. We need them to use their judgment, especially in these scenarios where like you said, the CEOs and the stakeholders like go, get it done. Thank you for that.
Listen, I gotta drop. This is super fun. So thank you for letting me crash this party.
Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate it, man. You have a good rest of your day.
Take it easy, guys.
David, what's your take?
Oh man, so many things. So many things. Yeah, I think just continue to hammer home that point about getting to the right vector space, right? So I think one of the things that you brought up, this person who is using Claude code to write software and then is handing it off over to whatever Codex to debug and do testing. So a lot of this comes down to what model you're using and what type of training distribution that model has, right? And then how are you ending up in the vector space inside of that model that has that training distribution? So and the questions you're asking it and the way that you're asking it through what harness you're asking it dictates where you're going to end up in that space. So just because one person is getting really good results off of that, if you are not framing stuff exactly the same way that they are, you may not have the same experience.
Right.
And you could be using Codex and using it the same way that they're using it, but you're using a different model with Codex, and you will not get the same results, like verbatim. So we were talking about the testing thing earlier and doing automated testing. I think something that would be a really fun experiment for basically everybody to do is go and tell whatever your favorite agent is, I want you to use X role. I want you to use the SDET role, and I want you to go evaluate this bug. And then go and say, I want you to be a software developer, like a senior level software developer, and go find how you would deal with this bug. And go and be some other persona, and just compare the results that you get. They're going to be the differences are fascinating.
In response or in detail? I mean, probably both. Right.
Yeah. I mean, well, I mean, yeah, you probably want detail, like,
Yeah.
and asking it how it would go about fixing it, like what is the plan for fixing it, et cetera.
Yeah.
And leave it open from there and just see what it comes back with.
Yeah, that's what I meant by the details. Like, I give you a request, and the response is give me a checklist, and the checklist for this LLM is 5 versus over here is 10, but it's in a different order. Say, like, which one is better, because I have 10 or because I have 5? Like, is it hitting the critical things, or it gives me extra things? But it was the same prompt.
Yeah, and I kind of give you like just a personal anecdote of what I've seen using exactly those two prompts. 9 times out of 10, when you tell it to use the SDET persona to go, it's gonna go find the problem, and it's gonna say, okay, this is how we build it into regression testing. And oh, by the way, these are the other 30 problems or places that I found very similar or the exact same problem at. You tell it, you give it the persona of a senior software developer, and it goes and says, hey, this is where I found the problem. This is my solution to it. I already pushed it. You're like, okay.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And then when you're like, why you do that? I'm sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, you're right. You didn't explicitly tell me to do that.
Yeah. So I know you dive heavily into the harness part. I will read your document, I promise. I got caught up with this thing called Letta AI, LETTA.ai, and it's supposed to be the #1 best harness out there, better than Claude Code. So I wonder, when you have a moment, check it out, and I want you to give me feedback on, do you think that this is better at memory management, because it claims that it is. I hear memory management, I'm going back to what David says.
But memory is just part of
it. Vector space is what I hear. Sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead.
But it's just part of it. Yeah. I went to, what was it? Maybe beginning of last week was Claude Code meetup at Capital Factory. I got it like super last minute and came down there and somehow got in. And there's another one on May 11th, I think. I'll send you guys the link here shortly.
Okay, perfect.
And I think it's probably going to be the same place, same folks. And we split at the beginning. We split up into 3 groups. There was probably about north of 100, south of 200, probably 50 people that were there. We split into 3 groups, and the one that I joined, one was orchestration, one was I can't remember, and the other one was harnesses. And so and the host was leading the harness, and 2 guys really spoke about it, and everything that they said was made me feel good about the system that I'm working on. And some lady challenged them, and anyway, it was a good thing. Then there was a handful of presentations, and that kind of it was all right. They didn't pique my interest as much, but
around, were you in the harness group?
Yes, and so I was talking, and I've got recording, my Claude recording. I hadn't listened to it or tried to transcribe it just yet, but I tried to capture a bunch of it.
What are you doing, Egan? You're not using Granola AI?
I am. I just don't have time to type in GRANOLA. Yeah. No, I'm making my own Granola AI, man.
Yeah, I hear you. I just did FFmpeg to do some video things for these, and I was like, build it for me, and do the hook and the end, and I was amazed.
Yeah, I do that for a lot of my graphics and video compression that I just make drop it applications. So I just take a handful of videos or images that I want to compress, and I just drop it on there, and it will either do it at a specific bit rate or file size, or set of settings, or I also have another set of droplets that I drop them on, and it will generate multiples, 5 or 7 at different bit rates, and then I'll just look at the smallest, best one that I can find and pull it. So
I explored adding captions. It worked kind of cool.
yes.
I was like, yeah, this is kind of cool. I've taken too long doing
Yes, I'm working on a project where we're going to have to add styled captions, and I'm like, how are we going to do this? So
I know we only have a couple minutes, but I saw this earlier and I wanted to share this with you guys. I am on Google Trends. Every once in a while, I check it. The last time I checked it was in December of last year. And I saw something that kind of jumped out at me. You guys can see this, right? So that's the how can I help in search, right? And then the hot spots in the US. And right, discovery. I'm gonna keep scrolling here. This is the one. Searching is AI searching for like interests, right? So this is starting in April 2020 to 24. So I pulled this about January, or like right here. And this interests me. You guys can still see this, right? The list here. I'm gonna hit the play button. So we got health on top, travel, students, developers, and then teachers. Teachers at 3%, developers at 4%, student 13%. And I hit this play button. Developers dropped, and I kind of expected to go up. We're hitting through February. Developers is still on the bottom. It goes back up in March. The end of March, developers on the bottom again.
how many travelers in the world are there versus developers?
Way more travelers
are there compared to developers? How many people that are concerned about their health that are not developers?
Maybe I'm too close to it, right? Because like I'm constantly looking at building and reading people articles. I expected to see like more things related, or maybe here how would they defining.
I'm sorry to tell you, Clint. You have a developer bias.
There's also you also have another problem here, Clint, and that is, why would somebody be using Google to search for that? If they're in that category of person, right? Why is a developer? So a developer's already sitting in Claude, doing all their work. Why are they going to go jump over to Google and say,
another 100,000%? Yeah.
So true enough, right? When Claude first started and she chat GPT, as far as giving it internet access, it would have to have some sort of index to search from, right? And that's what Google does. Like and Yahoo and on all of these, they have their own index. They find new websites, and we humans search Google, right, to get these results. I don't know, but I will argue that probably as of today, these models, when you see it's doing a web search, it's probably not using Google. But previously, it probably was, like within the last 6 months, because all that there were.
I think now kind of analytics is starting to veer into all bets are off with all of the synthetic data that's out there, all of the bots that have been out there, all of the agents that are all doing internet stuff. It's things starting to get hazy. The truth is starting to get further and further out there.
Exactly. Yeah. And actually, so there's actually been cases of people going out and building farms to do automated Google searches on specific terms
15 years ago. Yeah,
to raise them up in the rankings so that it messed with trading algorithms and all sorts of other fun things that you wouldn't think about, or making it too expensive for their competitors to buy the ads that they were buying. Like, there's a lot of different things that people have done that stuff for. So
Shenanigans.ai.
Yeah.
Sure. I gotta run.
All right, Egan, thank you for hanging out, man. I appreciate you.
Next time and sooner. Later.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
For sure. All right, well, I'll wrap it up, man. You got any last things to say? I think you kind of hit it, right?
Nah, I think we're good, Clint.
Good, man. Thank you for